There are some love stories that begin with flowers. Some begin with grand confessions. And then there are the rare ones that begin with something much more dangerous, a look that says everything without a single word. What if someone loved another person so deeply that every glance became a secret message? What if an entire room could feel the affection between two people before they ever admitted it themselves? And what if one unexpected night forced those hidden feelings into the open? Stay until the end because this story is not about dramatic promises or public declarations. It is about something far more powerful, the kind of love that can be seen in a single look. The evening sky above the city glowed with soft golden light as Tian Xiwei stepped onto the set. The filming schedule had been exhausting. Everyone looked tired. The staff moved quietly. The actors were reviewing scripts. Coffee cups sat forgotten on tables. But the moment Tian Xiwei arrived, something changed. A smile appeared on her face. Because standing near the cameras was Zhang Linghe. He was speaking with the director and laughing softly. She stopped walking. For several seconds, she simply looked at him. One of the makeup artists standing beside her smiled. "You're staring again." Tian Xiwei immediately looked away. "I am not." The makeup artist laughed. "You always do that." She tried to hide her embarrassment. "I was just thinking about the scene." The makeup artist shook her head.
"No."
"You were looking at him." Tian Xiwei suddenly became quiet. Before she could answer, a voice interrupted them. "Good morning." She turned around. It was Zhang Linghe. He had somehow appeared right in front of her. The strange thing was that the moment she looked into his eyes, she smiled without even realizing it. He smiled too. "Good morning." The makeup artist quietly walked away. Neither of them noticed. "How was your night?" She laughed softly. "I slept for 4 hours." He looked concerned. "Only 4." She nodded.
"You."
He smiled.
"About the same."
For a moment they simply stood there. Then the assistant director called everyone to prepare for filming. They walked toward the set together. And once again something happened that everyone had started noticing. Every few seconds Tian Xiwei looked at him. Not directly. Not obviously. Just little glances. As though she wanted to make sure he was still there. One of the camera operators leaned toward another crew member. "There it is again."
"What?"
"That look." The crew member smiled. "I know exactly what you mean." Everyone had seen it. Whenever Zhang Linghe entered a room, her entire expression changed. She looked brighter.
Happier.
More relaxed. And whenever he laughed, she almost always laughed too. Nobody talked about it openly. But everyone noticed. Later that afternoon, the cast gathered for lunch. The table was crowded. People were sharing stories and jokes. Yet something interesting happened. Although there were many empty seats, Tian Xiwei somehow ended up sitting beside Zhang Linghe. Again, the assistant director laughed. "This is becoming a habit." Both of them looked confused.
"What?"
The assistant director pointed at their seats. "You always sit next to each other." Tian Xiwei nearly dropped her chopsticks. "Do we?" The entire table laughed. Zhang Linghe smiled. "I suppose we do." Her cheeks turned pink. The conversation continued, but every few minutes she looked at him again. She looked when he laughed. She looked when he spoke. She looked when he became quiet. At one point, he caught her staring. She quickly looked away. He smiled to himself. A few hours later, filming resumed. The final scene of the day required both of them to stand together beneath soft lights. The scene itself was simple. They only needed to look at each other. Nothing more. The director gave instructions. No dialogue. No movement. Just emotion. The cameras rolled. The set became completely silent. Tian Xiwei slowly lifted her eyes. Anne looked at Zhang Linghe. The entire room froze. Because suddenly it no longer felt like acting. The way she looked at him was gentle.
Warm.
Almost as if the rest of the world had disappeared. One of the staff members whispered,
"Do you see that?"
Another nodded. "You can actually feel it." Even the director forgot to say cut. Nobody wanted to interrupt the moment. There was something incredibly beautiful about the way she looked at him. Not dramatic. Not overwhelming. Just soft affection. The kind that grows quietly over time. Finally, the director remembered himself.
"Cut."
The entire set burst into applause. Tian Xiwei looked surprised. What happened? The director smiled. I think you just gave us the most beautiful scene of the entire project. She laughed nervously. It was only a look.
No.
The director shook his head.
It was much more than that.
Even Zhang Linghe looked thoughtful. As everyone returned to work, he stayed where he was. Then he looked at her.
Can I ask you something? She nodded.
Why do you always look at me like that? The question caught her completely off guard. She blinked. Like what? He smiled softly. Like you know a secret. Her heart immediately began racing. For a few seconds she could not answer. Then she laughed. I have no idea what you're talking about. He laughed too. You are not very good at hiding things. She looked away. Neither of them noticed that the sun had already started setting. The golden light from the sky filled the set. For a moment, everything seemed peaceful. Then something unexpected happened. A sudden rainstorm began. Everyone rushed to protect equipment and move indoors. But Tian Xiwei and Zhang Linghe found themselves standing beneath a small shelter together. The rain fell heavily around them. The world suddenly became quiet. They were alone. Neither of them spoke. Then Zhang Linghe said something so softly, she almost missed it. I like it. She looked confused.
What? The way you look at me.
Her eyes widened. Because when you do, he smiled. It feels like I matter. The rain continued falling. Tian Xiwei could hear her own heartbeat. For the first time, she could not look away. And in that small moment beneath the sound of rain, she realized something she had been trying not to admit. Maybe the reason she looked at him that way was simple. Maybe every glance carried a feeling she had never found the courage to speak aloud. Because sometimes love does not begin with words. Sometimes it begins with a look that says everything. The rain finally began to slow. Tiny drops still fell from the sky, but the world around them seemed quieter than before. Tian Xiwei and Zhang Linghe were still standing beneath the small shelter. Neither of them had moved. Neither of them seemed ready to leave. Then Zhang Linghe smiled softly.
Can I tell you a secret?
Tian Xiwei looked at him. Of course. He took a deep breath. I noticed the way you looked at me a long time ago. Her eyes widened. He laughed. You were never as subtle as you thought. She covered her face in embarrassment. Please stop. He smiled even more. Every time I entered a room, you would somehow find me. Every time I spoke, you would listen even when everyone else was distracted. And every time our eyes met, you looked at me as though I was the most important person there. She looked down. Then his voice became gentle. The truth is, I started waiting for those looks. She slowly looked up. Some days I would walk into a room, hoping you would be there.
Hoping you would smile at me.
Hoping our eyes would meet. Tian Xiwei could barely breathe. Then he stepped a little closer.
Because every time you looked at me,
I felt something I had never felt before. The rain completely stopped. The city lights reflected in his eyes. And then he finally said the words she never expected to hear. I think I fell in love with you because of the way you looked at me. Tian Xiwei froze. For several seconds, she simply stared at him. Then tears filled her eyes.
You really mean that?
He nodded. Every word. A small laugh escaped her lips. I cannot believe this. He smiled. Neither can I. She looked at him with the same soft expression she had always worn. Then she finally admitted what everyone around them had already known. I tried so hard to hide it. But every time I saw you, my heart became happy. Every time you smiled, I smiled too. And every time you left, I kept waiting until I could see you again. She laughed through her tears. I think I have been in love with you for a very long time. Zhang Linghe looked completely speechless. Then both of them started laughing. All the confusion, all the hidden feelings, everything suddenly seemed so simple. He gently reached for her hand. She did not pull away. Around them the night felt magical. Then he smiled. So, everyone was right. She laughed. Apparently, they both turned and looked back toward the building. Through the windows they could see the staff inside. Several people were watching them. The moment they noticed they had been seen, everyone quickly pretended to be busy. Both of them burst into laughter. I think they knew before we did. She nodded. Definitely. Then Zhang Linghe looked back at her. What happens now? She smiled.
Now.
We stopped pretending. He smiled too. For the first time, that evening there were no secrets left. Only two people standing beneath the night sky. Two hearts finally brave enough to admit what had been there all along. And as they walked back inside together, everyone looked at them and smiled. Because the truth had finally become impossible to hide. Every look, every smile, every quiet moment, it had all been love. And at last they had found the courage to say it out loud.